Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Ken. This recording will have a couple purposes. One is to be episode 22 on the Grist podcast, my podcast. The other is just to teach students a little bit about a service called Replit. So that's kind of the topic of the podcast or the recording. So what is Replit? Replit is a vibe coding product. As you can see, what is vibe coding? You can speak to a product and it will generate a development environment and an application and a project for you. So it's super cool. It's all the rage in the world today, how you can use AI to code. Some of you may have seen Jensen Huang, who was interviewed yesterday at the World Economic Forum by the head of BlackRock, their CEO. And one of the comments he made was how incredible Claude Code is and other AI tools are in helping people do coding, build applications, and so forth. So this is not Claude Code. This is a vibe coding product. There's many. There's Windsurf, Base 844, Replit. This is the one I use for class. I think it's fairly easy to use. It's browser based and so forth. So here I am. I'm going to fire it up and just kind of walk you through what it does. So this is my account. I have one app, which I've built over the last couple days. I should make it clear that I knew nothing about Replit before Tuesday. I created an account, learned about it, ChatGPT, AI, all kinds of things like that, and ultimately developed enough expertise to finish a project, or at least come close to finishing a project. So here it is. It's called Ken's Music Site. It's a website about songwriting and things like that. And we'll take a look at it at the end. But just to kind of walk you through the project and how things are and so forth. And I'm going to show these previous messages, try to scroll all the way to the top. So there's a lot of stuff here. But step one is I just give a very basic overview of what I want to do, build a website. I'm a musician. I want these different areas, be able to post comments, things like that. And I went ahead and first built a complete development environment. Some of these things are just web pages. Other things, like where you post blogs and songs and stuff, are small little databases. It spun up the databases. It created the development environment. These are things that can be hard to do in vibe coding, where sometimes you have to build the environment before you start vibe coding. So this was pretty cool. So I built the site just so you guys get a sense of what it is. It's a music site where you can post songs, information about music theory, some comments, experts alike, things like that. But at the beginning, it was simpler. It had a generic title, a different color, only one or two of these functional areas. And over time, I just went through and created all these prompts, like I'm highlighting here, to make changes. Also, when it first built the site, like in areas like theory and so forth, I could post things, but I couldn't edit them. And, also I couldn't move them around. And so, you have the ability now to do things like that. If I look at experts, for example, you can move one to the top, move them back, and so forth. So over time, as you look at your site, you make it more and more sophisticated. Here I am changing graphics and saying it's hard to read and all kinds of things, right? Initially, it put in some generic music. I wanted to have a song of my own, and so forth and so on. So I kind of went through for a period of a couple days, looking at it and making changes. What's the sort of process? You make updates, you can preview it up here in the screen, and ultimately you then go to publish it. So in this, I don't want to do it on this call. It takes a bit of time, but you hit republish and it asks you a few questions about permissions, and you ultimately go and publish. So you can see here an open publishing button, which I asked it how to go in and do that. And you just go through and go through and go through and go through and make changes. So it's a really cool tool. I'm looking forward to teaching my students how to use it and have them learn how to build a website in at least one of my classes, maybe two, and to have them do things like vibe code and build projects for their portfolios. So what are some other interesting or useful things about this? You start on a starter account, um, and you get a certain amount of daily credits. You can see right here, I've used 49% of my credits today. The account is good for 30 days. Then you have to decide whether you want to buy or not. If you click here and upgrade, you'll see the different levels, starter, core, teams. If you are a student, you can get a discount on it. Hopefully that applies to professors too. I'm not sure. And you just keep building your site, until you're happy with it. I mean, and again, zero coding. It's doing all the work for you. And ultimately, this is the share link. And I'm going to go to another tab and put that in. And you can see this is the finished product, right? Um, I ran into some snags along the way. I happened to have a VPN installed on this machine, and it was completely stopping me from seeing the site, so I had to uninstall it. And in time, I'll just reinstall it with proper settings to whitelist this domain or whatever. But this is your site, and you have areas for. This is an area where I'd put posts about music theory. This is an area where I'd put information about songwriting. These are some experts I like, and these are the songs themselves. So it's a very useful sort of website. Way better than I could have built myself, if I wasn't using something like WordPress, which is a content management system. So this is just a completely different way. And that's a key thing to understand. It's building a code. There's an underlying database. It's literally building all these things for you, which is super nice. In terms of hosting, you can host it on Replit. You can ask questions, and here's maybe a good thing to say, like if I want to host this elsewhere, how do I save the files and export them for another web host? So this is kind of an example of um, how it works. So, I submitted my prompt. It's searching the Replit documentation, and it'll come back with these instructions, right? And you can download as a zip. You could use Git or GitHub. You can see here it built this SQL database as part of the project. Your new host needs to support Node.js, which is how this is built, and so forth and so on. So, it's just incredibly useful. I mean, I am not a full stack developer. I'm not a coder. I understand a lot of things about technology, but not that. And this provides one with the capability to do things that are far beyond your skill set. So it's just a great example of how AI can be used in the real world. So I hope you guys find this to be of interest. If you're in one of my classes, we'll be speaking about it more. But for now, I will end the meeting and hope you all have a great day.